Crimewatch UK.
Good evening and welcome to our 10th anniversary. When Crimewatch started back in 1984, we wondered then whether or not the experiment would work, whether viewers really could actually do something about crime. Well, every month has shown that they can. And tonight we've news of more arrests, including one involving an attempted blackmail. I can also tell you that a man has been convicted as a direct result of one of the largest responses Crimewatch has ever had. A woman in South London was pulled out of a phone box and was raped. The attack was linked forensically to an earlier offence. A name phoned into Crimewatch led to the attacker. The man has been sentenced, the Old Bailey, to 2 terms of life imprisonment.
Our first case tonight is a serious assault. Just 3.5 weeks ago in Deptford in southeast London, somebody injured 84-year-old Bill Gallagher so badly that he's been unconscious in hospital ever since. In the film that follows, many of Bill's friends have taken part in the hope that somebody tonight can help trace whoever did this to him. However, certain details have been changed to protect the identity of the witnesses involved.
1, 2, 3, lift. This gentleman was found collapsed outside his flat in Deptford. He's certainly fractured his zygomatic bone, and we've organised a CT scan to determine whether he's actually had any intracerebral bleed. He appears to be moving his leg.
This is a severe head injury. You can see here the fracture on the left side, which will fit with him having been hit, and we've got this large intracerebral bleed around the brain stem. In a man of his age, this is obviously very serious, and I fear the outlook here is really very grave.
Bill Gallagher has lived all his life in Deptford, and from the age of 12 he's worked on the same fruit and veg stall in the local market. Bill was chairman of the Street Traders Association until he was 82, and he still runs his stall on Saturdays.
I haven't got your keys right. Me shell of coffee and oat milk, Philadelphia cheese, and a coffee and milk, and 2 sugars for Brian, and that's mine.
Take your time, Bill.
You can do with a drop of rum in this.
Right, thanks, Bill.
All the best.
Right. I feel devastated. I feel he's so close. He's like a grandfather, and just so upset about it.
To go through the war and have nothing done to improve the war, and this to happen to him at this time of life at 84 is disgusting. It's a terrible thing.
He's like salt of the earth. He's one of the best fellas on the market. Always help you out if you can.
Yes, you certainly can, madam. All lovely and fresh.
Yellow plant as well, please.
Yellow plant? Yes, shove off, lad. Those really not had, did it?
Not very much, all right.
So I put in here, madam.
Fair, Bill, at 84, I hope I'm as good as you.
I don't know, I'll stick another winter, maybe I'll retire in October.
It's Monday the 15th of August. Bill loves horse racing, and he's a regular at the local bookies.
Come on.
That afternoon he called in shortly before 4:30.
I've got a fiver on Singing Rock. Come on. Yeah. You may tell you I was right.
My dear, I'm off.
Well, you want any advice come to me in the future?
At about 5 o'clock, a 13-year-old boy was visiting the block of flats at Cornbury House, where Bill lives.
Who's there?
Open up, you idiot, it's me.
When I came into the foyer, I noticed this man hanging around. His age was about 30, he had medium build, about 6 foot tall, with light brown hair, and he had a suntan.
Hang on, I'll open the door for you.
Thanks.
Meanwhile, Bill was leaving the betting shop. He decided to drop in for a few minutes at the grocery store where his friend works before heading for home.
You can't get rid of me, can you?
I was leaving the building. As I walked in the foyer, I passed this man. He was holding a beer can. I think he'd been drinking because he seemed slightly unsteady on his feet.
Switch on the telly so that we can catch the results of the 5 o'clock pincer.
Have you got a bill?
But I can't. I think that's not on. I always miss swimming. This is total rubbish. You invite me round just to watch this. You're going to carry on watching it? Yeah. I'm off then. Still playing football around the park. Quite strange.
When I came out the lift, the man wasn't there anymore.
I'm £4 better off. I'm off home now. See you.
He's playing already.
Come a bit earlier next time, yeah? Yeah. Right, see you later, yeah? 4 o'clock. See you later.
Just after 5:20, Bill was seen in Deptford High Street. It would have taken him about 10 minutes to complete the walk home to Cornbury House.
It was the same man I seen earlier hanging around the lifts. He saw me looking at him.
Oh, let me in! Come back, yeah? Shut up and let me in! Oh my God! Look, I'm gonna get help, okay?
We've obviously got to be guarded about the prognosis here because in a man of his age, the chances that he's sustained some permanent brain damage is, I fear, quite high.
He is a fighter, so if anyone can pull through, he will. We're going to look after his stall while he's in hospital, so when he comes out he's got some money so he can look after himself.
Well, Mr. Mellish, do you think the man who attacked Bill was actually waiting for him in particular?
I really don't know. What I can say for sure is the motive was robbery. Both Bill's pockets were pulled out. The suspect had been hanging around the flat for a good half an hour. I think Bill was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
You certainly have a very good description of him from various witnesses. We've had a T-shirt made up fitting the witness's description. It's not exactly right, but it's as near as we can get.
It's diagonal splashes of colour. That's the most important feature. The guy was white. He's about 30, quite tall, about 6 foot. Light brown, short hair. Main feature was his suntan. He had suntanned face and suntanned legs, which were also hairy.
Where do you think he might come from?
We've been concentrating on the Deptford area, but I want to broaden the area of search to South East London. In fact, I want to appeal for information and help from the people of South East London as to the identity of this callous robber.
That's where you're concentrating. Mr. Mellish, thank you. I can tell you that the latest news on Bill's condition is that he is now out of intensive care and does seem able to respond a little bit to what's going on around him. But he is 84 years old and there's a long way to go yet. Everybody's just hoping for the best. If you saw anybody suspicious in the area around Cornbury House that Monday afternoon, remember it was August the 15th, just over 3 weeks ago, or if you can remember anything that might help this investigation, please do ring. 0500 600 600 is the number here, or you can ring the Brockley Police Station direct on 081 691 4141. That's 081 691 4141.
Well, now to photo call, where last June's gallery of faces led to 3 arrests. First, top left, 40 people rang about a series of armed robberies in and around Gloucestershire. As a direct result, a man was arrested in Bournemouth. He's now in custody awaiting trial. Glyn Adrian Carvel, top right, he's still being sought as part of a fraud inquiry. Another series of fraud cases, though, prompted 6 calls to the studio, all giving the same name. A woman is now awaiting trial. Finally, an arrest that happened independently of Crimewatch. We showed a video from a security camera of armed robbery in Harlow in Essex. A man was arrested after a similar attack. He's now being charged with 3 offences. Here are Superintendent David Hatcher and Detective Constable Jackie Hames. Let's see what happens with this month's photo call.
Take a close look at this man. He's seen here in Cambridge on Tuesday the 3rd of May, where he's attempting to buy a video recorder using a credit card fraudulently. Since April, thousands of pounds worth of goods have been bought using a batch of stolen credit cards. The man is in his early to mid-30s, about 5'9", medium build with short black hair. If you know where he is now, please call.
Do you recognise this woman? She's Yvonne Mary Sullivan, and detectives in Gwent would like to speak to her in connection with a series of deceptions. Between 1987 and 1992, several £1,000s were stolen from the Building Society accounts of mentally and physically disabled residents of a community home in Newport. Yvonne Sullivan is around 5'6" and heavily built. She may be using the names Yvonne Blake or Yvonne Weir. If you know where she is, call us now.
Do you recognise these men? On Wednesday morning, 6th of July, they were seen loitering in a sub-post office in Henleys Road, Bristol. Around lunchtime, they returned to the same store, broke in and stole a substantial amount of cash. They drove off in a white Citroën BX, registration G977NNU. The first man is in his mid-20s, 5'9", slim build with short dark hair. He spoke with a Liverpool accent. The second man is older, 35 to 40, 5'8", slim build with short receding brown hair. If you know who they are, please ring us tonight.
Does this man look familiar to you? He calls himself Brian Saunders, and my colleagues in Kent would like to speak to him in connection with the deception. This summer, a recently widowed 58-year-old woman visited Chatham in Kent. She was tricked out of her life savings by a man she met there. Brian Saunders, as he calls himself, is in his early 60s, 5'8" with a stocky build. He has the name Rita tattooed on his right forearm and is known to frequent betting shops. If you know where he is, or if you can help with any of our photo call faces, please call us tonight.
And here's our number, 0500 600 600. It's a free call. Do please ring if you can help. 0500 600 600.
Were you anywhere near Stratford in Warwickshire on the morning of the 22nd of June? It was a Wednesday, the start of a normal weekday in the shopping streets of the town centre. At 8:30 a.m. in Wood Street, Stephanie Wall was on her way to work at George Pragnell's Jewellers, where she's the manageress.
That particular morning it was a fairly straightforward morning, typical, fairly relaxed. I opened the post in Mr. Pragnell's absence. We have to display the merchandise, quite a lot of it, before the shop opens. We have to make sure that the place looks neat, tidy, clean. So it's fairly busy before we actually open the doors to people.
It's now about 9:30 on the outskirts of Stratford. Annette Hilton works for a local firm of engravers. She had a delivery to make at Pragnell's that morning.
Oh, this form we were talking about, Nigel. It's arrived.
I've just got to quickly go and check the windows, and I'll get a paper cross as well.
Okay.
Hilda Carr and Janet Edwards were on their way into the town centre.
It was a very, very nice, warm, sunny Stratford day. Hilda and I were going in to change a pair of shoes I'd bought on Saturday. We were just going to go and have a coffee afterwards, and that was all.
Minutes later, Annette was arriving at Pragnell's with her parcel.
I did notice somebody on my left-hand side, but I didn't really take much notice, just carried on.
Down! Everybody down! You! Get down and stay down!
I was terrified, absolutely terrified, because you're aware of this violence going on around you that you can't do anything about. The thought that the gun might go off, that it might hit you, it might hit somebody else, is just totally terrifying. The noise was very intense, it was quite violent. It was the scare tactics they were using, shouting, a lot of breaking of glass. There's this atmosphere that they have control over the situation. They are very violent people, and they would not have hesitated to shoot and maybe kill somebody if necessary.
I literally tried to take in as much as I could see. The windows were being cleared. You know, I was very concerned for my colleagues. It was quite a traumatic time.
By now, Hilda and Janet had reached Pragnall's shop.
I noticed the car. The driver of the car had a rubber sort of latex mask over his head.
At that moment, a police car on routine patrol turned into Wood Street.
The police are here! We're gonna go! Come on, you guys!
We were just simply on our way in to have breakfast at Stratford Police Station. And then I sort of thought jewellers, mask, Cosworth, and then realised that it was an armed robbery.
I don't know why I opened the door and tried to do what I did. It was just instinct. I hadn't seen a gun at all. And I was quite shocked when he sort of rolled over and said that he'd got a gun. And I'll shoot you. I think that was when I decided it was time to let him go, because it's no point being a dead hero, so.
Well, I tried my best to reverse into the car, but there was a civilian car behind me that was blocking my view.
Look out, they've got a gun!
Assistant required, Wood Street, Stratford, armed robbery.
The only option then was to turn round, and by the time I'd got round, which was fairly quick anyway, the Cosworth was stopped.
The police car had broken free of the traffic just too late to catch them.
The feelings stay with you for a long time. The people who were at the forefront of the attack have been quite badly affected, as a lot of the members of staff were. Yes, the stock is replaceable, but what it does to people is much more damaging.
And they still are recovering. Mr. Stanley, where did the getaway car go next?
Well, it drove at high speed out of Stratford, and it was abandoned about 3 miles away in a gateway in Ingun Lane.
And then it transferred to another car?
That's right, yes. We believe they transferred to a blue Mondeo car. The reason for that is that we can say that a man was walking his dog along the lane, and he saw this car being driven at high speed, and between where the Cosworth was abandoned and the Mondeo was seen is where various items of clothing were discarded, including the masks.
And we were able to use those, of course, for our reconstruction. What clues do you get from those clothes?
Well, the best clue really comes from this jacket. From the inside, forensic examination has revealed a label with a name V. Veenendaal. And we'd be interested to hear from anyone who can throw any light on that.
Jekka Natvier looks Dutch, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
Any news of the stolen watches?
Well, we've not recovered any of the property as yet, but we do know that a Rolex watch and a number of Omega watches have been offered for sale to dealers in Manchester and Blackburn, and we would appeal to anyone who has been offered top quality watches in dubious circumstances to contact us.
And there's a Manchester connection with the silver Cosworth as well. What do you need to know about that?
That's right, yes. This Cosworth was stolen in Manchester on the 18th of May, and as you've seen from the film, it was on registration plates J771GNV. We'd be interested to hear from anyone who made up those number plates, but I would stress at this stage that vehicle with that registration was not used on this offence. No. We just would like to hear from anyone who has made up those number plates.
Between the 18th of May and June the 22nd,
That's right.
Sightings of that. And as you say, it's a legitimate car now, so we don't need to know about that. You feel there's an urgency, don't you, to catching these men?
Yes, this was a carefully planned robbery. We're dealing with violent and ruthless criminals who have clearly committed this type of offence before, and it's important that we do catch them.
Right, I hope you do. Thank you very much indeed. There is a reward, a substantial reward, in fact, if you can help Mr. Peter Stanley and his colleagues on this one. Please ring us straight away if you know of anything that might help. In the studio here, the number as usual is 0500 600 600, or you can ring Warwickshire Police Direct on 0926 415 766. That's 0926, which is the code for Warwick, 415 766.
Over the past few months, the unusual crime of child abduction has made headlines, notably after baby Abby Humphreys was seized from hospital in Nottingham. In that case, of course, the woman has been charged and is awaiting trial. But there have been two other series of attempted kidnaps which are causing police a great deal of concern. One group of offences is centred in West Yorkshire. The other, perhaps unrelated, is in Bristol and in Gloucester. The cases in West Yorkshire have all been unsuccessful, but they've been going on for 2 years now. There have been no fewer than 29 reported attempted abductions, either by a woman on her own, or in one case by a woman with a man who was pretending to be a police officer. In each case, the woman has posed as a social worker or as a health visitor, but she's fled when challenged to produce identification. In Bristol and Gloucester, the offences have all involved women who have posed as health visitors, or as social workers again. There have been 7 reported cases in a month, all between the 4th of July and the 4th of August. Lisa, tell me what happened in your case.
I answered the door. There was a lady stood there in a blue uniform. She said to me, "Hello, I'm your health visitor. I come to speak to you and see your child." As I looked at her, I noticed that she had no folder or paperwork with records of my children, so I asked her for her ID badge. She said, "I'll nip back to the car and get it." With that, I went into the front room, and as I looked out the window, I noticed that she got into a blue Ford Escort and drove off.
A blue Ford Escort?
Yeah.
You didn't get his number, did you? Or
All I know is it was A registration.
A registered. Now, she was wearing a necklace you described to the police. Tell us about that.
It was gold in colour, and it had a name on it, or it could have said mother, but I know it began with M.
Now, Anne, your case was strikingly similar in some ways. Just explain again what happened.
Well, the same thing happened. That she came to the door. She said that she was my health visitor, and she said, "Can I see Nicola?" She called her Nicola.
She knew her name?
Yes. And I said, "What for?" And she said, "I've got reason to believe she's been sexually abused." I said, "That's rubbish."
What did you say?
Well, she said, "Can I have her?" I said, "No, she wasn't here." I said she was in the city with her sister.
What would you have done if Nicola had been in the house?
Well, I think I would have let her have her because she was so convincing.
Now, what was she like? Give us a description of this woman.
She had short, spiky black hair, plain pink T-shirt, a flory skirt, pink sandals. She had a stud in her ear, and she had a black briefcase in her hand.
Now, this is a different woman from Lisa's, but on the other hand, there was somebody else in her company.
In the car, I didn't really see her very well.
But your neighbour did get a description out. Now, what did she say?
Well, she said that she'd seen the same car up there a week before, circling around. So she recognised them.
And what was the car like? Can you recall?
It was a white one, that's all I know.
It was white.
I didn't know the mate.
And you think that you'd seen one of these women again, I think last week sometime?
Yeah, down on Southmead Road, but that was in a blue Escort.
And what happened?
She just glared at me. Like, you know, she recognised me. That's about all.
It's all pretty terrifying. David Niven, as chairman of the British Association of Social Workers, what do parents do? What does anybody do? Somebody comes, an official comes to the door and says, "I want to take your child away."
Well, the clear advice is don't let them. Ever. No social worker or health visitor or anybody posing as one of these people who arrives out the blue at somebody's house can take your child away, and the clear advice is do not let them. And in the case of social workers, if anybody poses as a social worker and says they want to medically examine your child, don't let them either. A genuine social worker wouldn't dream of doing that.
But we read in the papers, we see on the news cases of children being taken into care. You're saying it doesn't happen like this?
It doesn't happen like this. There's a procedure to go through, and social workers have to go to court and convince a court and so forth. It just doesn't happen like this. The clear advice is phone the police.
Lisa, did you phone the police? What was your first instinct? Because I know the police suspect an awful lot of people don't tell them.
First thing I'd done, once I shut the door and realised she wasn't coming back, I phoned my mother. She told me to phone the clinic, in which I did. They said they hadn't sent anyone out.
and it wasn't until then that they, under their advice, I phoned the police.
You wouldn't have done so otherwise?
No.
DC Rob Jones, it is quite alarming. It's extraordinary, actually, that they don't seem to have abducted a child yet, despite all these attempts.
Yes, I'm sure that's more by luck than judgment. We're certainly very, very concerned to catch these women before, in fact, they are successful.
They're becoming more determined, apparently.
Yes, it certainly would appear so. Certainly with Lisa's last incident, where they'd moved up to a nurse's uniform, or a pseudo-nurse's uniform, it certainly gives rise to the suspicion that they're becoming more and more persistent and more able to pass himself off as a helper.
And this two work in the Bristol, Gloucester area seem to be sort of swapping roles as publicity gets hot on one of them.
Yeah, that certainly seems to be the case. Certainly the descriptions of the two women in most of the cases, or in fact all of the cases that we're featuring here tonight, are very, very similar, and the way they operate is very, very similar, although I cannot discount the fact that they may be using wigs.
There's been a description of one of the women with a very different sort of hairstyle.
Yes, there has, yes.
You think that many of these cases are simply not reported at all?
Yes, I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure many people feel that it's a call not necessary for the police, but I would urge those people on any occasion, if they are unhappy, to phone us straight away.
Is this just in the Bristol, Gloucester area, in the Leeds, West Yorkshire area, or anywhere in the country?
Well, myself, I'm particularly interested in cases within the southwest. However, I would appeal to viewers on a national basis that if they are approached by these women, to contact their local police station.
Do you think the police actually take these things all that seriously? I mean, after all, in these cases, it's very hard for the police to say a crime has been committed.
Yes, it's not a question of not taking it seriously. I think that often the cases are reported as a suspicious incident, perhaps recorded in such a way, and therefore they perhaps fall through the net of a criminal investigation.
David Niven, just once again, quite emphatically, somebody comes to the door, wants to medically examine your child, wants to take your child away, the answer is simply no, shut the door on their face.
Correct, absolutely.
And please call the police.
Please call the police if you're suspicious.
If you have any suspicions, if you've been targeted anywhere in Britain, not just in Bristol, if you haven't yet told the police, if you can help in any way on this case, or indeed you think you might help clear up other cases, do please call 0500 600 600. That's the free call number here to the studio, 0500 600 600. If you'd prefer to call the Bristol Inquiry Team direct, the number there is 0272 454 855. That's 0272, the code for Bristol, of course, 454 855.
Well, just monitoring the calls here, I'm pleased to say that we'll be getting quite a few calls on the Bill Gallagher case with identifications for the attacker and suggestions as to where the T-shirt might come from. On Photocall, we've had an address for one of the cases and a positive sounding identification on another one of the cases from two police officers. So far so good, and I'm just noticing that something's coming through on Stratford jewellery raid as well. I can tell you a little bit more about one of the results of incident desk from last time. The manager of a Tesco supermarket, you might remember, in Dorset, was being targeted by blackmailers demanding £500,000. We played a tape recording of a man's voice and we showed handwriting, and as a result of the publicity around the programme, a man was charged and is now awaiting trial. So let's see what happens this month. Here are Detective Constable Jackie Hames and Superintendent David Hatcher.
First, we need your help to catch an armed gang. This man shot a postman, leaving him severely injured. On Tuesday the 19th of July, just after 9 a.m, Tony Beale and Brian Devereux were making a delivery to the Link Top sub-post office in Malvern, Worcestershire. The post office was busy and there were several passers-by. As Tony went to make his delivery, a gunman confronted him and shouted at him to drop the box he was carrying. Despite carrying out the instructions, Tony was shot in the stomach. The gunman escaped in a blue metallic Honda Civic, driven by a second man. It was later found abandoned half a mile away, and it's believed that the man transferred to a dark green XJ6. Did you see them? Tony is now off the critical list, but it'll be several months before he's fit enough to return to work. Take a look at the gunman again. He's 30 to 35, 5'10", and of stocky build. And here's the driver. He's about 5'10", of medium build with a tan complexion and short dark hair. If you recognise either of them, please ring the incident room on 0905 723 888. That's 0905, the code for Worcester, 723 888.
In Fulham, West London, a woman was walking to her sister's house around lunchtime on Tuesday the 7th of June when she was attacked. This man approached her after she'd left West Kensington Tube. He dragged her into a blue van with a white roof like this, where he raped her. The registration number probably included D8, and the van had vertical striped curtains. Maybe you saw it parked on Beaumont Crescent at about 1:30 in the afternoon. The rapist is in his 30s, about 5'6", of muscular build with brown shoulder-length hair. He was wearing a distinctive T-shirt. It was white with a bulldog motif on the front. He also wore black trainers with white laces. If you recognise the man or can help identify the van, please call the incident room at Fulham on 071 385 1212. That's 071 385 1212.
Next, maybe you can help solve an armed robbery which took place in Nottinghamshire. These two disguised themselves as delivery men and went into a house in Newstead Abbey Park near Mansfield on Friday the 20th of May. Once inside, they threatened the owner at gunpoint, forcing her to open the safe. In their haste to escape, the robbers left behind an interesting clue. They'd written the directions to the property on the back of this piece of paper. Maybe you recognise the handwriting. The robbers escaped in this white Montego estate, registration E316TEA, which had been stolen from Sutton Coldfield 6 days before the robbery. A substantial reward is being offered for information, so if you recognise the men, the car or the handwriting, please call Nottinghamshire Police on 0800 626 999. That's free phone 0800 626 999.
Colleagues in Yeovil are concerned that this teenager is responsible for a series of sexual assaults that have happened over the summer. Since the 25th of June, 5 women have been attacked near the Yeovil town centre. All of them have given very similar descriptions of their assailant. One of the more serious offences happened on July 9th at Nine Springs, a local beauty spot. A 47-year-old woman was walking her dog when she was grabbed and pushed to the ground. During the struggle, her attacker threatened her, saying he had a knife. The youth eventually fled in the direction of southwards. He's around 15 years old, 5'5" with a slim build and pointed features. He wore a black T-shirt with elbow-length sleeves, black tracksuit bottoms, dark trainers with white stripes, and was well-spoken. If you recognise him, please call Yeovil Police on 0935 402 158. That's 0935, the code for Yeovil, 402 158.
And if you can help, please do. The number for all our calls, 0500 600 600. That's 0500 600 600.
Sharon Harper from Lincolnshire had been 21 for just 4 days when somebody strangled her. She had a 4-month-old baby, and she and her father Michael were planning their wedding. She was likeable, she was straightforward, and why she was killed is a mystery that maybe someone watching can now solve.
It's the Cookie Monster.
She had a thing about car boot sales. Every time I went down a car boot sale, she would immediately go to the nearest store that had the baby clothes or the baby toys on.
We can always get round in you and me, can't we?
She was always pestering me for, you know, a couple of quid here and a couple of quid there so she could go and buy those things, which made me laugh. We've been together about 2 years. She was a fun-loving person. She loved Sarah Louise. She was a good mother to Sarah Louise. She would have made a good wife for me as well.
You've got a sec, can you get some ice?
Yeah, sure. Is it right if I have a fag while I'm down there?
Yeah, no problem.
Sharon worked 3 nights a week at the Market Cross pub in Grantham.
Not so bad, are you?
There's not a job that she wouldn't do. You know, it's very hard to find people like that. She was one of the best. One of the best. And I miss her.
Tonight, police hope to eliminate a man seen by a friend of Sharon's a month before she died.
I was on my way to Woolworths when I saw Sharon at the rear of Morrison's in the passageway. She was stood with a man. They were talking quite intensely. I walked past them and carried on towards Woolworths. I came out 10 to 15 minutes later and walked over to the short wall by the passageway to have a cigarette. As I sat down, I saw that Sharon was still talking to the man. She seemed to move away from the man towards me, and he followed her. I did think Sharon looked relieved to see me.
Who's that?
Doesn't matter.
She didn't want to tell me.
Don't do that.
So being nosy, I strained to watch him walk away.
If this was you, please call. Friday, July the 1st. Sharon was working at the pub and her boyfriend Michael worked nights, so Sharon's friend Emma used to babysit.
We'd known each other for about 6 years, and we just hit it off straight away. She's got a great personality.
You all right? Okay. I've just put him down.
She came around about 6:30, 7:15, like what she did every Friday.
If you need them, and I'll give you the key just in case you need anything else. Okay. So I'll see you at the usual time. Yeah, I'll see you later.
Bye-bye, darling. She just stayed for a couple of minutes.
See you later.
And then she went off to work.
Still going out Sunday night?
Yeah, of course I will.
Where do you want to go then, Doug?
I don't mind, it's up to you.
Should we start off the King's Arms to see how we go?
Yeah, sounds great. Is Marky still looking after Sarah and Louise?
Yeah, bless her, it's good like that.
Yeah, it looks nice. Did you do it yourself?
Yeah.
It was just a normal, typical Friday night.
Yes, Doug, what can I get you?
Nothing unusual about it, and Sharon was in a really good mood.
Thanks a lot for coming along, ladies and gentlemen. Finish your drinks now, please, and start to make your way out the door. Thanks a lot.
After the last people have gone, we always have a drink at the end of the night.
I'm off, mate.
Okay, see you later. Take care. One of the last people to leave was Sharon. Nothing out of the ordinary with her. She said cheerio, and I see her go by the windows. It was the last time I saw her.
Got to the pipes in the morning as well.
Sharon often walked home. Did you see her when she left the pub shortly after midnight?
You okay?
By now, Emma and her boyfriend Simon were expecting Sharon back to pick up the baby.
No, you're all right for a bit longer.
Meanwhile, on Harloxton Road, not far from the pub, according to an anonymous caller, Sharon was arguing with someone outside Archway's garage.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks.
Were you that driver? Please phone us now. You're a crucial witness. The caller described the man as being in his mid-30s and with long, dark hair.
A6, you want the Isaac Newton?
Next, a taxi driver noticed Sharon. She'd now gone back towards the pub and to a public phone.
I was travelling along Wharf Road towards the roundabout when I saw Sharon arguing with a gentleman outside the phone box. It seemed at the time that the gentleman was pulling Sharon away from the phone box if Sharon wanted to get into it. I noticed that the gentleman was wearing a white short-sleeved T-shirt and jeans, and he had shoulder-length hair.
I'd arranged to meet Sharon at 8 o'clock to go shopping. When I arrived home from work, I noticed that the kitchen light was still on, which I found was unusual.
Sharon? Sharon? Sharon?
Next day, Sharon was discovered among undergrowth in a car park, not far from where she'd last been seen. She'd been strangled. Mr. Clifton, most points of appeal are pretty self-evident from that reconstruction, but perhaps what's not self-evident is you're very, very anxious to get that anonymous caller to ring again who saw Sharon just before she disappeared.
There were, in fact, 2 anonymous calls, both of which came in on Monday the 4th of July, which was really the first day of this inquiry. And the information given by both anonymous callers was very, very similar. Now, there are 3 possible motives for those calls. The first is that it's an out-and-out hoax. The second, that it's the killer who's trying to lay a false trail. And the one that we actually favour is that the man who rang in actually saw what it was that he described to us. Because of that, we think that he probably saw the killer. So he's very central to our inquiry, and we need to speak to him.
Now, he may say to himself, but, you know, I've told you what I saw. Why do you need any more information?
Well, he told us that the man that he saw was about 30 years of age with long dark hair, but different people have different perceptions of what is long hair. For some it'll be on the collar, for others much longer.
He also said that he'd seen Sharon with this man before. When? Where? These are the sort of questions that we need to put to this man.
And he plainly knows her well.
He does indeed. In fact, he claimed that on the second call, and we believe that the two calls are probably made by the same person, although that's not self-evident. On the second occasion, he said that he was so concerned about this argument that was going on that he slowed his car down and spoke to Sharon through the window of the car.
As we saw in that reconstruction there. He also said that he thought that the man was wearing a Leeds United T-shirt like this.
Yes, the first caller said that the man was 30 years of age with long dark hair and was wearing a white Leeds United shirt. Now, there are several strips, and this is one of them.
OK. Now, the man in Grantham city centre that we saw a month earlier, roughly a month earlier, sometime in June, this is somebody who looks similar to the description, I know, but this is really someone you want to eliminate from the inquiry.
Yes, indeed. There's no evidence at all to indicate that this man is anything at all to do with the murder. The mere fact that he fits the description of that given by the anonymous caller means that we need to trace him and eliminate him from our inquiry.
OK, Sharon was likeable, she didn't have an enemy in the world, no obvious motive for this. You need to find, I gather, anybody but anybody who ever knew her in any capacity.
Yes, we have traced a number of people. You're quite right when you say that no motive is clear. Certainly it's not clear to us what the motive was, although, as we've already said locally, that there are some items missing from the body. But we don't believe that robbery or theft is the actual motive. It's not clear to us what it is. We need to build up quite a comprehensive picture of Sharon's lifestyle. We're in the throes of doing that with a number of people, but anybody that can add new information, we'd be delighted to hear from.
Mr. Clifton, thank you. The number here is free. It's 0500 600 600. Please, if you knew Sharon, if you can help in any way, call us or try the incident room in Grantham. That's 0476 62501. 0476, the code for Grantham, 62501.
Well, we're getting an awful lot of calls. The noise level's pretty high around here. We've had some more calls now on the Stratford jewellery robbery. 4 people, in fact, have called in to say that they've been offered jewellery very similar to the watches that were stolen, and some of that information coincides, so that's an interesting one to follow up. And calls on the jacket there too, people saying it's a Dutch army wear, which we knew, but what we want to know is who was V. Vikendahl and where did that particular jacket come from. More photocall case calls. The Bristol Post Office raid, we've had a name given for the armed robbers there. On the child abduction case, 2 police officers, one from London and one from Manchester, have phoned to say that there have been similar cases in their areas. There are quite a lot more calls, but we'll keep you posted maybe later on, because that is it for this month for the moment. Do keep trying if you have any information. The lines here are going to remain open until midnight on 0500 600 600, and we'll be back with all the news we can give you at about precisely 11:35 p.m. I hope. That's Crimewatch Update, back at 25 to 12.
If you can't stay up till that late, well, remember that in spite of all the images you've seen tonight, you really are extremely unlikely to be affected personally by these sorts of serious offences. And in any case, of course, the crime rate in some categories is actually beginning to fall. Whatever happens, don't on our account, please, have nightmares. Do sleep well. Good night.
Good night.
And a BBC book to accompany the series Crimewatch UK is available now. Adapted from John le Carré.